EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast between the 19th and the 22nd of February 2024. Hello, how are you this week? You all right? I hope you bloody well are. Joining me as usual is Ree. Hello, Ree. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, Rob. How are you? I'm feeling
right,
a bit
thank you.
better.
Good.
Been a bit
good.
poorly, but
Yes, you have
getting
been, haven't
there.
you? But as you know me, I'm full of sympathy for you, and we've changed the timing of what time we were recording and everything, haven't we? So that's how good a friend I am to you.
Have we?
By about half an hour.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, that's because we've just been chatting rubbish. Anyway.
Yeah, well,
yes.
nothing new there. So, Ree, I've got an update. Okay, so you will remember that I bought pheromone aftershave a few weeks back.
I do remember.
We discussed this pheromone aftershave. If you happen to miss this episode, we were talking about how I'd got hold of some aftershave that apparently reacts to your own personal pheromones, and is supposed to make people fall at your feet for romantic ideas. That's just like the science behind it. And let me tell you, when I went out last week, I'd argue it worked. I would argue it worked.
Rob. Wait, too well, did it?
Well, I then ran out, and this person hasn't spoken to me since. So my thinking is, now I've been paid, I'm going to get myself another bottle, cover myself in it, and then our conversation will develop further. It's an interesting scientific experiment, this. I'm interested to know.
Keep us updated. I'd like to know the conclusion to this scientific experiment.
I'd like to know whether placebo can completely and utterly overtake simple drunken regret. It would be interesting to see.
Well, I'm here for it, Rob.
Thank you.
Buy it now.
Yeah, I will. So there we are. So I'll let you know. This aftershave company could be sponsoring us for all the talk I'm giving it.
Well, don't say the name. Don't say the name until they offer us something.
Until they cough up. I ain't saying a word.
Tell me after the.
I will. Right then, on to another week of EastEnders. Yes. What a week it was. I think fair to say Diane Parrish gave us a bit of a turn, didn't she? She did very, very well this week.
She's been incredible.
I knew
she had something big coming up when she had that long break before
She had
Christmas.
a long break, didn't she? Yes, yes. Now, I'm curious.
Something was going to happen.
Yeah, I am curious to think, though. I wonder whether, I don't know, like, how scheduled Letitia Dean's break was throughout all of this. So I wonder if Sharon was not supposed to be going on a break at this point of the story, like where Sharon would be fitting into all of this.
That is a good point, because it's like, we understand it with Sharon, like kind of fits the story, but also as viewers, we kind of want to see her reaction, don't we?
Well, what I would argue is that if it was Sharon hallucinating Keanu, he'd have been in his vest and not in his wedding suit.
Yes, I think that's a fair assumption to make as
Just
well, Rob.
a thought.
Yes.
Either that or in his mechanics overalls, something that Sharon would associate with him rather than just the outfit that he died in, That's what I would argue. But we'll come on to Denise and her, let's call it a breakdown, later on, because it was very, very good. We've got a couple more stories to discuss before we get there. So let's crack on with this week's Albert Square After Dark. Right then, ladies and gents, let's crack on with this week. We'll start. We've got a few small stories to get through before we talk about Denise. First one we're going to briefly discuss is Cindy and George. This is sort of follow on from last week, with George's head is basically all over the place, and we see him calling somebody on his phone. Do you remember that scene where he was actually on the phone?
Yeah.
I was a bit confused as to where he was when he'd made that phone call. It was just this random room that I don't think I'd ever seen before. But I think it might have been the Vic kitchen, but it was just from an angle that we've not seen it from before.
I thought it was the Vic kitchen.
Yeah.
Definitely. I didn't even think about it. I think.
Did you know? I think it was just the angle that he was at.
There were like hygiene signs around him and stuff, I think. So I just assumed it were kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where they were. But anyway, yeah, so he's talking to somebody on the phone. It's like apologising for how he spoke to him the last time they saw. And you kind of think, oh, was he on the phone to Gloria? No, he's on the phone to Cindy. Now, Cindy rushes back to this, like jumps on a plane, basically hijacks the plane and flies back, probably flies it herself to land back to deal with George. And she runs back to him and they have a discussion about, because obviously Cindy, as we know, knows everything about Eddie, knows about the details of his murder. She is the only person that George ever told. So Cindy's kind of got her own views on it and basically gives him a bit of advice. And then they start talking a little bit about Cindy Jr. Now, if you remember, when Cindy buggered off screen for a little bit, we were like, they're not doing this off screen, surely. Oh, yes, they are, faithful listener. They did it off screen. Cindy Jr. now knows that Cindy's alive. and we didn't get to see it. All we know is that Cindy Jr. did not react well to it.
Yeah, it sounds like she barely spoke to her the entire time she was there. So,
I
yeah,
mean,
they could have mentioned a little bit more about it if they're going to do it off screen as well this week. All we got was, oh, she weren't that happy, and then I've just come back to see you.
yeah,
So, is it? I mean, you said maybe Cindy Junior is going to come back as a recast in a few
maybe.
months. Is that how they're going to do it?
I mean, maybe, but then surely you would save the reveal for when Cindy Jr. returns. And my thinking now is that they did this
Mm,
purely just to sort of deal with that little knot of the story, just dealt with that off screen, and we're not
yeah.
going to see Cindy Jr. now.
Yeah, because it's not like they even gave Michelle Collins like an extended break, so they had to
No,
write her out. She
they've
literally
got a
gone
couple
for
of
what, a
days.
week?
She had the
Yeah,
weekend. She had the
exactly.
weekend off. That was all it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. So
And a
it's
nice little
yeah, I
weekend in
think it
Butlins, and then
literally
came
was
back.
just for us all to stop going, what about Cindy Junior? Well, there you
Yeah,
go, that's what
there you go.
happened.
That's dealt
Next.
with. That's what about
Yeah.
Cindy Jr. Just put that in your pipes and smoke it, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, Again, there's a bit of tenderness between the two of them. I know I say this every week. It can't be long before George and Cindy are sleeping together, surely.
How long have you been saying it for? Since
Ever
she come
since
back.
Cindy returned, I've been saying
Yeah.
this ever since that week.
So
I mean, obviously it is
how
going to happen at some point, isn't
yeah,
it? But
yeah.
I surely,
I ship George and Cindy.
yeah, you do, don't you? You're quite into this.
I really like
Uh,
them. But I like Cindy as well, don't I?
yes,
But
Cindy could do no wrong in
then
your eyes.
I know she's an angel. But
Yeah.
the week before, I liked Elaine and George, to be fair. Because Elaine was actually being really good for George and what he needs.
Well,
But she still
Elaine,
has her
as we know, is a
moments.
better fiance than she is a mother.
Well,
So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
why. But
What about you? Who would you prefer?
I mean, the thing is, because I'm just so expecting for it to happen. Like we know it's going to happen. I don't have any strong feelings about them either way. I'm intrigued to see kind of where it takes the story. But in terms of the two characters together, I'm sort of I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that Cindy and Ian aren't long for this world, and I'm amazed they've lasted this long. Quite frankly, because
Mm,
Ian's relationship history is not good with anybody. Never mind somebody who tries to have him shot. So the Cindy and Ian thing, whatever. But George and Elaine, I like together. I think we are supposed to sort of think that George and Elaine are a little bit unsuited, though. I kind of get that
mm.
dynamic from them, and have done really since Elaine and George kind of came into it. You sort of got the impression that George's eyes could wander if an opportunity came along. Like Elaine, I think, is more into the relationship than George is.
See, I think I wouldn't have thought his eye would wonder actually, but then again, when we hear the history him and Cindy have had, and she kept saying about the barmaids or something that they had in
Mm.
Marbella, didn't she say?
Yes,
Maybe
so
he has
George
got that
maybe
side
has
to
got a
him.
history of a
Maybe,
wandering
yeah.
eye, or maybe he's just
Mm,
very good at making women feel paranoid. All that.
yeah. I don't know. It'd be a shame though if Elaine and George split now, but I do ship George and Cindy. Yeah,
What I am
I'm here
looking
for it.
forward to is the moment where an inevitable Cindy and George affair reveal happens. Because what I'm really looking forward to is the fact that Harriet Thorpe will do an amazing job at broken down Elaine. I know she will, because we'll have that
Yeah.
classic landlady thing where the landlady's having the breakdown, no makeup, like just completely and utterly like sobbing into a pillow and all that kind of thing. She'll do it brilliantly. So I'm really looking forward to that moment. So in terms of what I'm hoping to happen, I mean, happy couples never last long in
Mm.
EastEnders anyway. We know this. So I'm just looking forward to that moment. I think.
You know what I've just thought of actually? When not long after Cindy first came back and George were trying to trick her into thinking that he wanted her. Do you
Mm.
remember? And she went
Yeah,
to lean in for a kiss.
yeah,
And they were
yeah,
just like,
yeah. Yeah.
so is he using that to his advantage maybe because he knows? Like
I
that's proof
don't
that he
know.
knows that she'd go running.
Yeah, well, I think she knows that anyway. I think the pair of them know it. I think the pair of them know it, but I think Cindy is trying to just sort of bide her time. Let's not
Mm.
pretend that Cindy is an angel here, all right? The first opportunity she
Oh,
gets, she will
she
sleep with
is,
George.
Rob.
No, she isn't. Um, I mean, what it does make me wonder is if Elaine's sobbing is the same as Elaine's cackle. Do you think that they might sort of
I was thinking it when you
I
said
wonder
it,
if
and I was
they.
like, oh, I don't want to ruin
I
a
wonder.
tender moment that you're describing here, but
I wonder if that's a
drinks
tricks
on
on
the
the
house
house.
now.
We'll have to wait and see. I look forward to that moment though.
I was just thinking though, when you said that, what would happen if they split? Because is it just Elaine and Linda who own the Vic?
Well, if memory serves me right, I don't think we ever actually got to that moment where George handed Elaine the money. Because if we remember, he was waiting for the money from
Oh
the
God,
bar.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, of course.
I think Elaine can chuck
Mm,
George out, and then her and
yeah.
Linda can sort of still be there together. So I think that would kind of. I think Elaine's safe there. I think George's
Mm.
position would be untenable if something like that happened.
And they'd be all right because Cindy's got an extra 60K apparently,
There you
just
go.
knocking about. So they're all fine, aren't they?
George and Cindy in the pie and mash shop. It is then.
Yeah,
I have
brill.
to change. I have to change the name.
Yeah, they've changed the name. Yeah.
Night
Mm.
Smash hasn't got quite the same ring to it, has it? Night's
Eels,
Eels.
eels, nights.
No.
Yeah.
I'll have to
Can't
wait and
think
see.
about it off the top of my head.
There we are then. That's that one. I think a little bit more to come with that in the coming weeks, but that was sort of on Monday. The only other small story we have to discuss before we get onto the big one is Jade and Dean. Okay, before we crack on with the big story, Jade and Dean, we had some stuff with them this week. Dean still remains kind of like a regular character with his own sort of little storyline going on. It's a bit, it feels weird, doesn't it, to sort of have Dean
Yeah.
kicking around, having basically, what Dean's storyline this week was that he's feeling a little bit sort of put out by his daughter having a social life, which you could give to literally any father of a young
And
child on the
worried
square.
worried about his daughter that's recovering from a
Yeah.
lung transplant. Yeah,
Like
because
perfectly
that's just Dean. That's Dean, isn't it?
perfectly relatable issues that you could give to somebody,
Mm.
but he's a rapist. I don't know. It's very odd, but so yeah, that's going on this week. Jade is basically, wanting to just have a bit of independence. Really, she's getting a bit kind of sick of being cooped up in the flat all day long. Dean's sort of fathering her, mothering her. Is that the thing? What would you say? Mothering her,
Parenting?
parenting her, over parenting her. Let's go for that. Smothering her. Let's say smothering. There we go.
Smothering.
Smothering her.
Yeah, but
There you
think
go.
about where that word's derived from. Must be.
Where?
Smothering, mothering.
Do you reckon? Maybe.
Must be.
Maybe.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Anyway, so
We digress.
we digress. Funny. That's unusual for us.
Yeah.
And so so Jean is kind of looking at Jade and thinking that girl needs some friends. So she spots sort of Nugget and Ivani coming towards her and says, like, "Go on, can you like not be friends with Jade? Like, she needs a friend because they're teenagers." We're sort of like, "Oh yeah, well, makes me want to be right. Look at her fashion." But then
She does wear bad clothes. I'm
Oh, well,
sorry. I'm
I
going to
can't say
say
I'd
it.
noticed. I can't say I'd noticed because I don't know what the going fashion for
Well,
teenage
like,
girls is these days.
obviously, like, fair. She's like,
She
got other
dresses,
things to
she
think
dresses
about. But when they said it,
comfortably.
I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. I
She
can
dresses
see why they'd say
comfortably
that.
because she's just on a lung transplant and she needs to remain warm and
Oh, no,
comfortable.
I know. I know. Oh,
Practical.
God, look at. I know.
She
All
dresses
right.
practically. You as bad as Ivana you are. That's just. um. So, but then as soon as they discover that essentially Jade has a dead person's lungs inside of her, they're all over that. They're like, "Oh my god, that's the
That's
coolest
so
thing.
cool.
That's so cool!" And so all of a sudden, Jade has two new best mates in Nugget and
That
Ivani.
that
That's quite
actually
sweet.
made
I
me
like that.
laugh. I loved
It
that bit
was
when Nugget and
very
Avani turned to
real.
each other and were like, oh, she's got a dead person. Yeah, let's
Oh
go
my god,
talk to
she's
her.
like a zombie. She's like a zombie. Let's go talk to her. Like,
Oh, that's such a
it's
kiddie
it's such a
response,
kid
isn't
thing.
it?
I thought it was
Yeah.
actually very real. So I liked that. And by the end of the week, like they're actually really enjoying. They seem to be really enjoying her company. Like it's not just they want
Yeah.
to ask awkward questions about the operation. They seem to actually really get
Yeah.
on as mates. So that's
Yeah.
lovely. Um,
Can
but
I say, by the way,
yes,
I am loving Elizabeth Green, who plays Jade. I actually
yeah,
think she's really, really good. Yeah, I've been
she is good.
pleasantly surprised. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she is
really.
good.
How
Again,
old
it's
is
another.
she?
I'm not
Like
sure,
in
but
real life,
I
I'm
mean, I'd
not.
say you know what the casting like ages of each
Well,
ones
this is
are like.
it.
She's probably about 48 now in the. But no,
Maybe.
she's. I assume that she's about 17, 18, something like that, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit younger. But she's good, and again, another great addition to the young cast that we've really managed to
Definitely.
kind of gather in this era. Like we've got a fantastic young
Yeah.
cast in the minute. It's exciting for the future. Really bodes well for the future of the show with a really solid young cast in place like that.
Mm.
But what this does is put Dean's nose out of joint. He sort of, he wants to sort of be the dad, basically. He wants to sort of be the person that leads Jade and sort of saves Jade and just be. Yeah. What it is, basically, is that he is, I think, trying to transfer the skills that he wants people to see of him, to think better of him, I think, isn't it? And he wants to kind of put that onto Jade. So he wants people to think,
Ah,
oh my God,
see.
what a good dad he is. Oh, what a good person he is. Maybe we were wrong about him. Maybe he's not a rapist. He's a really good dad.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that. I thought he was just being selfish and thinking
Oh,
Jade's
it
the
could be
only
that too.
person. Jade's the only person I've got around here who's like actually talking to me, and now she's made other friends, so I'm going to be on my own.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, I'd argue.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I'd not thought of your perspective actually.
So
Yeah,
how do you think this is going to play out? I mean, like we say, Elizabeth Green's great, so you'd assume that she's around to stay for now. But then where does this leave Dean? I'm really confused as to what the plan is for Dean. Like, is he just going to be a regular now, but just happens to stay around?
it's like you said. Why have they introduced Jade, and now she's got a bunch of friends as well?
Yeah,
So,
so they've got a reason for
but
Jade to stay around, but then she's not gonna stay around the square if Dean buggers off. So surely that means
mm,
Dean's either here to stay or they're both buggering off.
do you think she's going to get ill again? Because I know she keeps coughing and going, people can cough, but it's such a recurring, and I know it's probably quite a normal thing
Maybe it's after.
considering what she's just
Yeah,
had
I
done.
don't know is the honest answer to that. I
But I
did
didn't
wonder
know
that,
whether to
but
read into is
aftermath
she
of having a
actually.
lung transplant, I'm sure you wouldn't just be like skipping around the square singing zippity doo dah with no issues whatsoever,
Well,
would you?
no, no.
So I assume that
I
maybe
did
the
wonder if
coughing.
that were going to come up again somehow.
Yeah,
I don't
possibly.
know.
It's. I think it was.
But
I think it would be very easy for them to give her another medical emergency. Put it like that. I
yeah,
would
yeah.
say.
I do. The only thing I can think of that could happen with Dean would be if Shirley came back, to be honest. I feel
Yeah.
like we need a Shirley come back, and then it gives him more reason to be on the square. He's got somebody else fighting his corner, apparently, because off
Mm.
screen, she's apparently
Well,
best mates
apparently,
with him again.
but apparently she's
Oh, yeah,
ended up
she's
where Denise is. So maybe they'll.
similar.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
oh my God! Imagine if like the first scenes next week, Denise sort of wanders into a room and sees
Oh,
Shirley. Oh,
yes, here
love
for it.
that.
You
Would
heard it
love
here
that.
first.
Love that. But
That
to be
would be
fair
a
though,
great way to bring her
it would be a
back.
great way. But the thing is, we don't know whether Dean's telling the truth about that,
Yeah,
do we?
but then, yeah, but then that could happen, and then Denise could confide in Shirley whilst they're there.
Yes.
So she could be getting the meds to make her better, and then instead of
Yes.
confessing to a therapist, confess to Shirley.
Yes, I mean more and more people would know about the secret. Um, so yeah, I mean the thing is, I know that a lot of people are sort of looking at this, going, well, "Why is Dean still around? He's a rapist," and that's the end of the discussion as far as they're concerned. I'm more of the I'm more of the mindset where I'm just like, well, I'm intrigued to know what your plan is for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sort of curious to see where you're going to take him. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I want his instant removal. I'm just curious to know what the ultimate plan is for Dean, because as we know, he has done this, and it's not like they are trying to reform him as a character. I would say because he's done some pretty horrible stuff since he's
Well,
been back. So presumably, a comeuppance for Dean is coming.
can we address an elephant in the room, Rob? You're going to hate me for
Yes,
bringing this up, but you know
go
that
on.
people have been speculating on the
Mm.
internet as to whether Dean, in fact, left the Vic on Christmas Day, and did he, in fact, witness everything?
Yeah, we can discuss this now. I mean, I think this is, yeah, I can't help but think this is people massively overthinking. We will get to this. This is the discussion around the weapon that went missing this week.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't realize. Yeah, yeah, that would
Yeah,
have been a time. That
this is
wouldn't it,
well,
Rob?
we're about to go into it, so that's a nice
Yeah.
segue into it, Ree. So
Oh, that yeah, that was my
people,
intention. Yeah.
there are, yeah, I could say absolute professional. There are some people that seem to believe that Dean is going to be a little bit more involved in the sixth storyline because the meat thermometer has gone missing, and my God, did that have an impact? Ladies and gentlemen, all the awards to Diane Parrish, please. If we're not going to have soap awards this year, let's just give an award of our own to Diane Parrish for this week. Should be good, wouldn't
Yeah.
she? A bit bloody
Yeah,
good.
we know why we've not got soap awards.
We
EastEnders have won
know.
every bloody thing. We're
Every
not
bloody
daft.
thing. We know your game ITV.
We're not
Yes.
daft.
We're not daft as we are cabbage looking. Yeah, quite the week for Denise this week.
Yeah.
Basically went into full-blown psychosis, hallucinating left, right, and centre. And by the end of the week has been sectioned, which I would argue really puts the six in a difficult position, although possibly they might be able to get out of it. I kind of wonder whether if Denise does say anything, how reliable is evidence given by somebody who has just been sectioned in the eyes of the police? I don't know. As a genuine question, I don't know if if they take it, would they? 'Cause
Well,
very often
no,
you
because
use that as a defense in court, don't you? Saying that they weren't of sound mind or something. So I don't know whether.
if well, if you've been sectioned, you can't sign any kind of legal document.
Yeah.
So she won't be able to. They won't be able to take anything that she says right now as anything legal. I wouldn't have thought,
Mm,
because she's not of sound mind to
no.
sign something and says she knows it's true. So
Yeah. I mean,
unless she was
she.
still saying it after she's been unsectioned,
Yeah.
released,
Yeah. Exactly.
discharged is the word.
Discharged.
She's still
Yes.
saying it after she's been discharged, then yeah,
Unsectioned.
differently.
Once she's been unsectioned, she'll be all right. I mean, she was in very fragile territory anyway, but the thing that really pushed Denise over the edge this week was the disappearance of the meat thermometer. Now, a lot happened with this storyline this week. For a start of, Linda told Johnny. So
hmm
Johnny now knows. And what I enjoyed for a start, I don't know why this made me laugh as hard as it did, but it really did, was when Linda was explaining the details of the murder and she was explaining what the murder weapon was, and she went, "It was a meat thermometer." Well, it was Christmas. I don't know why that made me laugh so much, but it really did. As
Yeah.
if that was in any way relevant. It was Christmas, so I stabbed it with a meat
Well,
thermometer.
it is. Well, you wouldn't normally just have a meat thermometer laying about, would you? But
Yeah,
if
but
it's Christmas Day, oh well, fair enough. It was
oh, you got
Christmas.
them
So.
lying around left, right, and centre. Meat
Yeah,
thermometers,
yeah.
Christmas Day, haven't you? Yeah, you can't move for meat thermometers around Christmas Day. You're wading through them. Um, so Johnny does discover this, and so immediately his lawyer head comes on, and he decides that he needs to get his hands on the meat thermometer. So he then disappears into the bedroom, and then comes out, and apparently it's disappeared. Now, is it just me, or is it really obvious that Johnny's got it, and he's just kind of biding
See,
his time to frame somebody for it?
see, I didn't think it were obviously obvious at all. Obviously, throughout the week, sometimes me and Rob will message each other about episodes, and you said
Mm.
it to me this week,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I've not even thought of that. I just genuinely believed that it weren't there. I didn't even think that Johnny had done it." So then I watched the rest of the week with that mindset. I'm like, "Yeah," but then I didn't understand at the end of the week why he was saying to Linda that Denise could have got it.
Mm.
Because then I
I
thought, why would you want to make Linda panic more unless he's
Well,
got
this is
some
the
big
thing.
master plan?
This is the thing, but then this is a very new Johnny, and I think we got a bit more of that this week. I have to say,
Mm,
I am becoming more and more inclined to agree with Denise that Johnny is the devil because he is a lot more sort of. He's a lot more plotting. He's a lot. I think he's really. I'd argue he's got a bit of a villainous side to him. This Johnny, to be perfectly honest with you.
yeah, I can see that. And I was the same actually. I was like, I kind of see Denise's point, to be fair. I know
Yeah,
that
I'd be
obviously, like,
paranoid about him. Like,
yeah,
it's not like
because
It's not like if
mm,
this was the old Johnny, either of the other two Johnnies, who Denise was getting all paranoid about, we'd be like, all right, yeah, Denise has completely and utterly lost her mind here. But
mm,
this Johnny is a little bit more sinister, so I would argue that she has a point.
because I could see him trying to pin it on Denise easily, which
Exactly,
is maybe
and
what Denise's brain is thinking,
well,
that
that's what
he's
my
going to try and
brain's
pin it
thinking
on
as
her.
well. That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what his plan is because
definitely.
he went to go and see her, and I kind of think that his plan was to plant the meat thermometer in the house. And then later on, he would discover it, or he would send someone to discover it, and then that would be Denise. And then he'd be able to explain she's having
Ah,
a
that's a
mental
good.
breakdown because she's feeling overly guilty about killing somebody. And then that removes Denise from the equation. The police go because it's Walford Police. They go, yeah, that'll do. Cheers. And then they'll lock Denise up, and then never the case will ever be mentioned again. I believe that was Johnny's plan.
But if that is Johnny's plan, right? Even if it's just to frame Denise for the actual murder, like they'll know that she could not have moved that body on her own. So who helped to bury it? Do you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
can't just be the plan, surely.
but
Like
I'd argue you could
what
work
would be the
around
get
that. You
out of
could
that?
I don't know. I'd argue it's workable though. I think that Johnny would work something out because that's what this Johnny seems to be about. And
Mm,
I gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of this Johnny so far in terms of his characterization. I have to say he's a little bit nasty for me at the moment, and it's so out of what we've known from Johnny in the
I
past.
think I think had old Johnny been like this, we'd be like, yeah, fine, whatever. But it does seem like
Maybe,
such a big
maybe it's
change,
a lot
doesn't
more
it?
jarring when you get a new actor in. I think any changes are massively magnified, aren't they? In fairness, yeah, I
Mm.
understand what you're
I
saying.
I have seen people online. He's being very well received
I
online, and
know he
I've
is.
seen
I
some
know. I
people.
think I'm very much in the minority with this, and I accept
Mm,
that fully because he's clearly a very strong actor. All right, I've no denying that
yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
My issue is his characterization at the moment, which just seems
But
so
some people
un-Johnny.
are saying you could argue that because he's been grieving his dad for the past year, that it's
Yeah,
changed him as a person.
he's
Some
been
people have
through a
been
lot.
saying that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. I get all of that. But then
It's
it's
quite a
just
big
that,
change, isn't it, from when we last
yeah,
saw him to then not see
yeah,
any of that progression of this is
yeah.
why he's changed and then see this new Johnny. And I know what
Always
you're
been
saying.
the most mild man. He is reminding me more and more of Ben. This is the
Yeah,
thing.
I can see that.
It
Yeah.
sort of feels like they've,
Intimidating, because why did he
yeah,
go around to Denise's
yeah.
anyway? He shouldn't have gone
He's
round, should he?
like
That you could
staring
see
out
the
Kathy
state.
from across the Vic, like doing all that kind of
Mm,
thing. This is classic one Ben behavior, all right. And it
mm,
sort of feels a little bit like they know that they're writing Ben out, so they're like, right, we kind of need a Ben
we
type
need a
character around.
replacement.
And to Johnny,
Or you argue he's just protecting his mum and trying to do anything it takes to make sure she don't go down for it. I don't know.
but
Could you not just leave things as they are? If the weapon, if you got rid
yeah,
of
I
the
mean,
weapon. But
he's
this is what's making me think he's not got the weapon, because otherwise, just get rid of it. Don't try and frame it on someone. If you're
yeah, this
getting
is the
rid of the
thing.
main piece of
If
evidence,
yeah, I mean, I'd
then
argue that nobody is going to automatically think if this body gets discovered, nobody's first thought is going to be Christmas Day. He got stabbed with a meat thermometer. He did. It must have been. If it happened at Christmas, it has to have been a meat thermometer.
mm,
So, like, just getting rid of it, chucking this meat thermometer in the Thames or something, that's that problem solved. So, yes, holding on to it, I don't really see
mm,
how that helps him, other than if his plan was to frame the woman across the road who's having a nervous breakdown,
yeah.
which again is a really
So,
cruel thing to do.
so if Johnny, let's say Johnny's not got it, where is the
Yeah.
meat thermometer, Rob?
Well, people seem to be thinking that Dean's got it because
Yeah.
they haven't decided whether Dean actually left the Vic, because we didn't see him leave. We just saw a door sort of swaying in the breeze. And this was before, may I add, the murder even happened. This was before Nish had even turned up at the Vic that day. So I'm not convinced by this theory at all. I think this might be a case of six mystery thinking that has kind of pushed it into this where we're just overanalyzing absolutely everything.
And see, I disagree, because I questioned whether he actually left on Christmas Day because we didn't physically see him leave. So why did they not show us him physically leaving?
Mm.
Why not then?
But
I
then
can
my
see why people are
yeah,
saying
yeah,
it. I'm not saying I necessarily believe it,
yeah.
but
See, it didn't occur to me
I'm
for a
open to it.
second
Yeah.
that it was that Dean did anything other than leave that day. My thinking of what happened on that scene with Christmas Day was that we were what that scene was about was about kind of making us think, oh, Dean's about to die, Dean's
Yeah.
about to die,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then that was just the fake out for that. So that sort of it was basically it
But
was about
why not? But
well,
why not just show us the back of him leaving the door
yeah,
so that
I
we
know.
saw him leave?
I think it was more to do with just the creepiness of it. Like, you just see an open door, and actually that's
Mm,
quite a creepy shot, isn't it? So I think it was more a directorial choice than anything else. Directorial? Yeah, that's a word. Um, so it was more about that. You could be right. I mean, I am quite happy to have it proved that Dean's had this meat thermometer all along, and for me to eat my hat. Absolutely fine.
possibly.
But
Mm,
right now, but then if you're gonna throw the logic of, well, we didn't see him leave, we also didn't see Johnny not discover the meat thermometer and realise that it was
yeah,
missing.
no, totally. Yeah, totally.
And
This is the
he hung
mystery in
on.
it. We don't know who's got it.
This is the
So,
thing. This is the mad thing, though, because I don't think it's a mystery. I mean, obviously, it is a mystery because they've left it hanging. Like, if it wasn't a mystery, they would have revealed it like the next episode or something. But clearly, this
mm,
is something that we're supposed to really be sort of ruminating over, like who has got this meat thermometer, which I get. I admire it as a mystery, and it was a temporarily exciting thing. But then I sort of just thought, well, obviously, Johnny's keeping it because he's the legal
mm.
man, and he's been saying all along to Linda, all right, well, I'm going to protect you. So this is clearly part of I'm going to protect you.
And what we've not seen Johnny ask Linda either is, when did you last see it? Because that's
Yeah,
quite an important
yeah.
thing to know, isn't it? So that you can gauge when it went missing, or like,
Johnny's got it.
oh well, who came in then? Yeah, well, I've got another one for you, Rob. What
Go
if
on.
Elaine's got it?
Walking around with a meat thermometer.
Ah,
Why would Lane have it? What
well,
you
you
think
never
that
know. Maybe Linda's drunkenly confessed off screen to Elaine or something, and Elaine's gone and
Elaine's
done it.
known
I
all
don't know.
along?
I'm
Elaine's known,
clutching at
Elaine's known all
straws.
along, and that's
Yeah,
why she's
possibly.
wanted to stay out of Linda's way, because she doesn't know how to deal with Linda being a murderer.
See,
There you go. Could be. It
it's
could be.
cracked.
It could be. If it's not Johnny, then I'm open to interpretation. But at the
Yeah.
moment, I just sort of like, it's obviously Johnny who's got it. I don't know. Let us know in the comment section who you think has got this meat thermometer. I thought it was pretty cut and dry, but lots of people are throwing lots of different theories out, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I like to be surprised. And am I being unfair about Johnny? Let me know. Like, defend Johnny to me in the comment section, because at the moment, and like I say, nothing wrong with the actor. I'm not a fan of this characterization. So just defend Johnny in the comment section to me, and we'll read them out next week, because I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. However, all of this does rather push Denise over the edge, and it sends an already very kind of fragile Denise into all sorts of mad territory. And you know whose fault this was? You know whose fault this was, Ree? Plaster Bloody Clayton. That's whose fault this was, because
Well,
turned up
he
again this
introduced her
week.
to that Bible, didn't
Yes,
he?
turned up once again and
Yeah.
said his stuff, and then she went running back to Lucas again. Well,
So
what
does
did
he
I
know
say?
Lucas? Is that? Yeah, I think.
You see, I
Mm.
wonder. I do wonder.
Why are we seeing Lucas anyway? Why has
Yeah,
Lucas
what
been added
is?
into the mix?
I
It must
like.
be.
Yeah, I kind of wonder whether his thing is going to be something insane, like I'll give you information on this murder I've just discovered if you give me a more lenient sentence and I can leave
Oh
prison
God, I've not
quicker.
thought of that.
It's the sort of
Yeah.
mad thing that Lucas plots normally involve, isn't it?
Mm. Or do you? Yeah, I don't know. Like, why would he just come back for this week? Like,
I know.
they've gone to all that. I don't know. I think there's going to be something more with him. Have you seen
Yeah.
as well, by the way, people asking a big question as to how he had Jack's mobile
How did he
number?
have Jack's mobile number? I wondered that. Just rang Jack up. You can imagine. I
Right,
mean, I
Jack, mate,
don't.
how's it
Yeah,
going?
all right, Jack. How is it, my man? Not spoken to you in ages. Jack's like, what the hell are you doing calling me? Yeah, I did wonder that. I won't lie to you. I did wonder
Mm,
why he. It's not like it's just a home number. If this was actual Jack's actual mobile
mm.
phone number, which he seemed to know off by heart, but whatever. Um. So yeah, Denise is now not only hallucinating Keanu, and those hallucinations are increasing. They are intensifying because now she's actually having full blown conversations with hallucination Keanu. Because Keanu was then leading her to, like, Keanu's hallucination was then sort of leading her to read different extracts from the diary,
Bible.
From the Bible. Thank you. And that was and like she was misinterpreting the words in the Bible, and that was sending her into all sorts of weird and wonderful directions until she was convinced that Johnny was a wolf and that Johnny was the devil. And I'm fully fair on that one.
I
I think at the
mean,
moment,
yeah, yeah,
I can't
I'm
disagree.
same.
Can't
I'm
disagree.
same, Rob, if I'm honest with you. Wish I could say that I liked him that much, but yeah.
Can't
Anyway.
disagree. Um, so yeah, and this kind of behavior starts to attract attention, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The other six are starting to get a little bit concerned about exactly how bad is Denise right now. Should we
Do
be
you,
worried?
right. So Stacey goes round, has a chat with Denise. Quite
Yes.
clear that she's entering some kind of psychosis and mental
I loved these
breakdown.
scenes with Denise and Stacey, by the way. I thought those scenes where they sort of like Stacey sort of revealed, like, talked about her own psychosis and clearly
Yeah, the
started
little girl in red,
recognizing,
yeah.
started recognizing signs of psychosis and that sort of dawning sad realization on her face. Those scenes were brilliant. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Carry on.
But but what's annoying for me
Yeah.
is that those conversations weren't enough for Stacey to break it off with Jack. It's only when she confessed to Suki, oh, by the way, I've still been seeing Jack outside, that Suki's like,
Nikki's like, are
right,
you mad?
what are you doing?
Yeah.
End that now.
See, interesting, because I feel like when she spoke to Suki, she had already basically thought, I need to end this in her head.
Okay.
I thought that those conversations with Denise had basically made her think, yeah, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm a terrible human being. I need to
Oh,
stop doing
okay.
this.
Right.
That's what
Okay.
I got from it.
Oh, okay. No, maybe. I just thought, how have you not decided this already without talking to Suki
I
about
mean,
it
don't get me
first?
wrong. It wasn't without a fight. She wasn't that keen on the idea, but she kind of reluctantly realised, I suppose I'm gonna have to stop shagging Jack, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? Like, she basically did that.
Fine, if I've got
Fine,
to.
I have to. God.
Mm.
Denise, she's so unreasonable. No wonder she rang the ambulance to get Denise sectioned. Which she did. Was it Stacey who did that? I think it was Stacey that did
Yeah,
that.
I think. Well, yeah, definitely.
We'll
Right,
say
I'm
that.
not being
We'll get
funny,
there.
but yeah. Well, when we get there, yeah,
We'll
get
get there. We'll get there. So yeah, Denise again, like, hallucinating everywhere, and then she starts hallucinating Johnny. I just think her brain is broken. Essentially, she is absolutely in the midst of a really terrible psychosis episode,
Mm.
and decides that she needs to escape. She needs to drive away. Amy is terrified for her, so says to her, "No, I'm coming with you because you were clearly in no fit state to drive." again, being someone who is going through driving lessons at the moment, I can't imagine wanting to get behind the wheel of a car if I was having hallucinations and psychosis. That would terrify me even more, I think.
It's a weird one that though, isn't it? Because I
That's
don't
like
know.
getting behind the wheel of a car when you've just taken acid. You know, that's that's quite terrifying.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, that is a good point because she's literally hallucinating things that aren't there. So yeah,
Yeah,
she wasn't in a fit state to drive, was she? So
no,
for
not
Amy to then
really.
volunteer to get in as a passenger was,
Brave but
yeah,
foolish, from Amy, I feel. But they end
yeah,
up in these woods because where else are you going to go if you're really, really scared, other than a really terrifying place like a dark woods? Bless her. And Denise kind of stops the car. Amy's trying to sort of send their location to Jack, and Denise sort of escapes the car and wanders off into the woods. And that's when she's really at her height of absolute terror. Jack and Stacey manage to locate Amy. Stacey takes Amy home. Jack then finds Denise. Denise is like hallucinating that he's Johnny. Again, evil Johnnies came across quite naturally, I thought, in those hallucinations, don't you? I didn't
no,
seem to be
I
that
know
much
what
of
you're
a
saying.
stretch.
Yeah,
It wasn't a
I know. I was
stretch.
kind of seeing things through Denise's eyes, like, yeah,
I bet it
fair,
is
yeah,
Johnny. Bet it is Johnny. I bet it is Johnny in real life. Yeah, I
playing
bet he's
mind
there
tricks.
chasing it. Yeah. Uh, um. So yeah, then Jack takes her home, and Denise is just like, they don't know what's happened to her. They don't know how she's got into this state. She's there reading the Bible. She's there like shaking and terrified and trying to escape and screaming, and it's just really intense scenes. And like again, Diane Parrish, amazing performances this week. Really nice moments upstairs with Yolandi and Amy as well. I think that bringing Yolandi back really was one of the best decisions the show has made in recent years because she's great. I love Yolandi so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, same. And yeah, she's just that mother figure that Denise
Yeah,
needs right now, isn't she? Although Denise isn't going to see anyone with sounds right now.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
So yeah, then Stacy is sort of saying to Jack, yeah, she needs help. Like, I've seen this, I've been this. Like, this is the bit where she gets taken to hospital. I'm afraid this is where that needs to happen.
how did come on? How did Jack not see it sooner himself? Everyone else around him seen it except for Jack. I thought
I
he
know.
were a copper, like
Yeah,
a detective at
not a
that.
brilliant
Come
one.
on, man.
Not a
You
brilliant
seen
one.
your wife?
I mean, it's denial as well. I mean, I think it's also that machismo of like, oh no, I'm the male in this relationship.
Mm.
I'll sort her out. She'll be fine after I've kept her. I've looked after her for a few days. Like, no, Jack, she's having a psychotic episode. Like, she's not going to
And
be okay. I like that line from Stacey. Go, we're a bit beyond a few pills and a chat with Sonia.
yeah, I liked that. Yeah, that
that
went a
was a
cup of tea with that. Yeah,
that
yeah,
was a great line. So yeah, and then these professionals sort of turn up at the door, and Jack's like, "Who called you?" That was Stacey, wasn't it? Like, clearly Stacey called
yeah.
him. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, oh right. The reason I
Mm.
think it must be
Or
Stacey is
or
because no, I think it was Stacey because
mm.
I think she'll have a direct number for those professionals.
Yeah,
Because it's not that
absolutely, yeah.
easy to get in touch with people like that.
No, it's not
So
that easy to
surely
make
it's
them
got a
turn up on your
direct
door.
number.
No, let's be
No.
fair. It's not that easy to make them turn up on your door half an hour after you've called them either. But you know, that's
Yeah,
soap,
there is
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah,
That's
but
soap. That's soap. Whatever.
I definitely think it was Stacey.
Yeah, I think 100% it
100%.
was
I don't see who else
100% it
it
was
could have been.
Stacey. Um, so pausing there slightly for where this leaves the six, because they're all sort of like, I like Suki's logic. What's all right, we'll just look after her. It'll be fine. We'll take
Oh no,
turns
we'll get some
in
pills
look
off
at.
the
We'll get
internet
some
and
pills
we'll
off
look
the
after her.
internet,
Yeah.
and I'll go on Google and find out how to look after somebody who's having a breakdown, and everything will be absolutely fine. The
I
Stacey's
think
like, are
that
you all? No, this
I
is
think
mad.
th- I think that was a moment for Stacey to be like,
Yeah,
"Do any of you have a clue how bad like psychosis is? Like, you can't just do that. They have to be like under real professional
yeah,
medical
really
care."
professional help.
I tell you what, I'll ring them because no one
Yeah.
else seems to be taking it seriously. Because yeah,
Exactly. So the professionals arrive, and Denise, I think it was interesting. Like, by the time these professionals turn around and say, like, "We'd like you to come with us, Denise," Denise is basically by that point like, "Yeah, probably right. To be fair, it's like, yeah, fair. I need a
didn't take
break. I
much
need a rest."
convincing at that
Really
point.
didn't.
Yeah, just I
This was a
can't do
little.
it anymore.
Yeah, this was a little bit different from when Stacey got sectioned both times, where she was screaming and sort of had to be dragged away. Like, Denise was like, "Yeah, no fair. Take me. That's absolutely fine." Um, so Denise was taken away in an ambulance, and that's sort of, and not before she sort of throws some barbs at Jack and sort of blames him for everything. Um,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
I
so that
mean,
Jack and everyone else aren't questioning everything now, and they all go, Also, because of Jack, that she's had this mental breakdown. We don't need to question anything else. The Johnny Carter thing, who knows? That was just a brain not working properly. The
Yeah.
devil stuff is because she went to see Lucas, so we
Hmm.
don't need to explain any of it away. I think that's what
Yeah.
that was.
I mean, the 6 at the moment are sort of, well, 5. The 4.5 at this
The
stage.
four,
The 4 now,
the
yeah.
four and Johnny.
The 4 and Johnny, yes. They're sort of now thinking, and Lucas as well. Lucas now knows because Denise confessed to Lucas this week as well when she went to see
Oh
him. So
yeah, yeah.
Lucas knows.
Half
So,
confessed. She left
well,
quite a few details out, but yeah.
you wait. By June, we'll be talking about the 17.
I don't think Lucas believed anything she said there, to be fair.
Oh, see, I thought he did. I thought he was kind of like,
Oh.
because otherwise, why would? Because I think he was looking at Denise and thinking, like, why are you in this state? Like, how have you got to this point? So I kind of think that he would understand that what sort of person Denise is, and then sort of be like, surely only that could push you to where you're, what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, if he uses that logic, I guess, but he might just think that she's having a mental breakdown for
Yeah,
whatever other reason, and that it won't occur, and that's what's making her think that. I don't know. You might
yeah.
be right there.
We'll have to wait and
Mm,
see. I'm with you though. I kind of wonder why is Lucas kicking around at the moment. Like, I mean, I don't mind this role that he's got at the moment. I was very, very critical of the last Lucas storyline we had because it didn't make any sense and was ridiculous from start to finish.
yeah.
This, there's a little bit more logic to it, so I can sort of understand why they brought Lucas back for this, and he's serving a very good purpose within the storyline itself. So I'll see where that goes from there. So yeah, we'll call them the 6. They are sort of very worried by the end of the week. So they're kind of thinking, well, then that's it then. So Denise is going to go confess to the police, and we're all going to get arrested and thrown in prison for the rest of our lives. And I kind of feel like, yes, I understand why you're all scared about that, but at the same time, like I said at the start of the discussion, I sort of feel like Denise's evidence wouldn't really be seen as that reliable, would it?
No, I don't think so. Unless she could, I feel like in her current state, she could confess to everything that happened, and people be
Yeah,
like, "You're really unwell,
yeah.
Denise.
But
Like
then
what you're
if she
saying."
Yeah, but then my question is, if she in this state was to turn around to a professional, a policeman, or turn around to a professional, we'll say, so a medical professional who's looking after her in hospital. Two questions there. Number one, if she was to turn around to say, "Yeah, we killed somebody and they're currently buried under the calf at Albert Square," number one, would that be taken seriously and investigated? Number two, would that medical professional then be or like would then they then have to tell the police, or is anything that's said in that sort of environment confidential?
I think in her current state, they wouldn't take it seriously, to be honest.
Mm,
I think they just assumed that were another delusion that she's had
yeah,
during this episode, personally.
because presumably
Yeah, I don't think that they
once she's
would.
feeling better, she'd be like, "Didn't say any of that,
Well,
did
this
I?
is
I'm
it,
mad."
because like
Yeah,
obviously they're gonna have to give her some kind of medication because there's no
yeah,
denying that she is in psychosis. So then once Denise is eventually better at some point, that we assume that she will be,
mm,
once they question her and go, "Oh, you said these things, by the way," if she's in a better frame of mind, she might go, "Oh, no, no, that's not true. That's not true." You'd think.
yeah,
She has confessed to it while she's ill.
yeah,
So I would say if she confesses to anything in a current state of mind, they'll not take it. You couldn't take the word of somebody who's been sectioned, who's quite clearly been hallucinating in front of a room of people, and go,
that's
right,
true.
well, this person who's been sectioned is saying that there's a dead body buried under that calf, so we're gonna have to dig it
Yeah,
up. No.
but then my question is, if somebody ends up in hospital having a psychotic episode who has no history of mental illness, is there one of their first questions not going to be what traumatic event has
Caused
led you to
this.
this, what's caused this, and what has led you to your brain to be like this?
But the medical professionals who sectioned her heard her say to Jack, "This is all because of you." So maybe they're going to say, right, it's because of the affair that Jack had with Stacey or something.
How many people do they get having like psychosis to this level just because their husband's had an affair though?
Well, you never know. They can take any kind of trigger if somebody's got it, you're already predisposed to it or for whatever reason. If that's considered traumatic to somebody, then it could trigger
Yeah,
it potentially.
maybe. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to handle all this and sort of see where this is all going to go. The thing about the 6 storyline is, I think it's one of those stories that we're just meant to sort of sit back and enjoy the ride. It's
Mm,
sort of supposed to be. It's not supposed to be one of these stories. I mean, yes, they had numbers. at the end of the episodes this week to talk about, if you're feeling distressed and all that kind of thing, which good, yeah, because you're showing somebody having psychosis. So yeah, sure, throw the numbers out at the end of the episode. That's quite right. But on the whole, I think this story is sort of about the fun of soap, isn't it? Really, it's about
Yeah.
the mystery of the murder and like, will they get caught? So I wonder if they're going to apply all that much that
No,
sort of
I know what
that
you.
over
Yeah,
analysis of it
yeah.
to this story.
This is what I can't decide because they've thrown a pretty big kind of mental health situation into
Mm,
this by showing psychosis. So how deep are they going to go with it? Is she
yeah.
just going to recover off screen and come back? Because I don't feel
That
like they can just
tends
do that. If I'm
that
honest.
tends to be what happens with this sort of thing on soaps, doesn't it?
Mm,
You tend to. I mean,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. I don't think this is like this. We won't see Denise now for 2 months before she turns
Mm.
up and like, oh, that was a time, wasn't it,
Yeah, I'm
guys? Sorry,
fine now.
sorry,
Hey,
sorry about that. Sorry
sorry,
about that,
Johnny.
everybody. Sorry,
Thought you were
Johnny.
devil for a
What
bit.
was I thinking? And Johnny's out there glaring at her. So I think we'll see some scenes with Denise in hospital. I think what this will now do actually is lead into Stacey's kind of side of it, and I think it's going to come out that she ran the ambulance, and sort of Stacey's involvement in the storyline is now going to pick up a little bit more. Is my
Yeah.
forecast for it.
It's kind of interesting that they gave this to Denise and not Stacey because it'd have been quite fitting for Stacey to have had this happen to her, really.
I mean, straight away you kind of think, well, clearly this can happen to anybody, can't it? And I think it's interesting actually because it's very easy for soap characters, for us to watch soap characters going through trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, and we just sort of, it just kind of goes over our head. But you kind of realise as well that if something like what happened to these women on Christmas Day was to actually happen, that would have quite a heavy impact on your mental health, I would think. So I do like that
Yeah.
they're showing, and if anything, Denise was actually in the immediate aftermath, Denise was actually one of the most capable there in that Boxing Day episode. Like she was sort of leading everyone around, go right, you need to do that, you need to do that, you need to do that, and you need to stop crying about that. So Denise was actually feeling relatively stable about the situation at that point. And then in the long term aftermath, this has really started to take an effect as more and more has sort of unravelled. So I think that's been quite interesting the way they've done that.
Do you think it's all been because of the necklace? Because she was coping well until the necklace got
I think
buried,
that's a
and then
big
I feel
part of
like
it.
that
I
was
think
when
that's a big
she
part of it.
spiraled.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, I think, because theoretically, about 4 of those women could probably walk away from this scot-free. Really, couldn't they? Like
Yeah.
Suki could probably walk away from this. Stacey could walk away from this. Kathy could walk away from this.
Talking of Suki, sorry, I've
Yeah.
also seen the theory going back to the weapon thing that some people are saying Nish went into the Queen Vic that time and interrogated Linda, and I think that's clutching at straws personally.
Well, how would you know it was under the bed? Is my question.
That's why I think it is. Because
But then
even
I
if
could
he
also throw that at
miraculously
Dean as
remembered
well.
everything from the
Yeah.
night, then how would you know? Dean, I feel like could have more of an idea of where it could be. Or when did Linda actually hide it there? Do we know? Did
I mean,
she do it on the night?
It would have been in the Boxing Day episode, I would have thought. So
Yeah. So
Nish
if
was
Dean was still there,
Nish was on the
he might
floor
have
for the
seen it.
entirety of that. Yeah, I think it's Johnny. I think Johnny's got it. I'd struggle to believe to believe anybody other than Johnny's got it at this stage. But I am willing and happy to be surprised.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I see. Yeah, I see your point, but who knows?
I have to wait and see. Gold star this week. First off, I think I'm going to give mine to Denise because God, she was amazing this week.
No, she was, and I gave it Denise last week. So, weirdly, I wanted to give it to Jade actually, but I don't think she's done enough this week.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it Amy for
Amy,
going out and helping Denise.
No, fair play. It was a great turn for Amy this week. So this week's gold stars go to Denise and Amy. Let us know who your gold stars are going to. As usual, ladies and gentlemen, we will finish the podcast with your comments and feedback. Before we read out comments for this week, little new thing that we started doing this week. If you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, X, no one calls it X, Twitter, and from next week, Instagram, because I decided to do this at about 10:30 last night, so Reed didn't have time to put it on Instagram. But from next week,
didn't get the memo. Didn't get the memo on that one.
Didn't get the memo on that one. This will be the Albert Square After Dark Caption Contest, which we will grab a screen grab from this week's episode, and we put it into your lovely brains to send us the best caption for that picture. This week, if you're only listening on audio, we've got a picture of Linda, Kathy, and Suki sort of watching from a distance as Stacey runs after Denise. So they're sort of looking all perturbed and shocked. And I've picked a few of my favourites, and Ree will decide the winner. So this is the picture now. And Sarah on Twitter says, the ladies are gobsmacked to witness Detective Inspector Jack Branning successfully detect something, even if it is only the keys to his own front door. Claire on Twitter says, is that Phil in a leopard print mankini? And then on Facebook, Declan Walton says, me and my girl is realising the drunken cow getting kicked out by the bouncer is one of the girlies. And then Tracy Riccio says, so that's what a Prince Albert really looks like. I liked all them. So who is the winner this week, Ree?
I think I'm going to have to give it to Declan Walter, that one. Walton, sorry. Me and my girl is realising the drunken cow getting kicked out by the bouncer is one of the girlies. Yeah, that's
There we are
Ree.
then. So congratulations, Declan Walton, for this week's caption. Marvellous. I like that. So we'll keep doing that. So that's fun. That's fun. It made me giggle quite a bit this week reading some of them. Comments from you guys next. Ree, who is our first comment from?
We've got one from Bald Beardy Bear on Instagram who says, this storyline is so captivating. The performances of the 5 3/4, the additional half point being the addition of Johnny, is next level. Edge of the seat appointment television. I can't wait to see how this unfolds.
The 5 3/4. I quite like that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
a
I
good
think
net,
that's...
that might have to stick. I like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
might
yeah,
be.
it's fun, isn't it? Like, you know, I have seen some people like sort of say that this storyline has slightly fallen off a cliff for them, but I think it's very subjective. I'm still quite enjoying the ride of it. It's just a mad old soap story, and I think that's all we're supposed to really be kind of taking from it. Just sit back, enjoy the madness of it. It may be one of those storylines that if you poke it a bit too hard, it maybe starts to fall apart. But if it's, you know, that's what you kind of get from a story that's been kind of built up to 10 months and then we're sort of dealing with the immediate aftermath. I think it's fun. I am enjoying it. And the 5 3/4, yeah, I like that. That might have to stick. Rachel Alice June says, Diane deserves all of the flowers for her performance. She's breaking my heart. New theory, Pastor Clayton is a definite baddie and working with Lucas in prison when he makes pastoral visits, and Lucas will tell him to get the dirt on the 6. Yeah, see, yes, all of my yeses. And actually, that makes a lot of sense. Pastor Clayton would go and visit Lucas because, you know, he'd go and get a pastor. Yeah, I'm telling you, he's connected to Lucas and he's a bad person. I'm telling you.
He's already been talking to Linda.
Yes. I am as paranoid about Pastor Clayton as Linda is, as Denise is about Johnny. I'm hallucinating Pastor Clayton everywhere I look right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Telling you. Next comment.
I've got one from our YouTube channel from, I'm just going to say Al, who says, this Johnny is quickly becoming one of my favourite current characters. I mean, thought I'd throw that one out there, Rob.
No, fully
Seems
fair.
to be a consensus of a lot of people, actually.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm seeing a lot of people that are really enjoying New Johnny, and I'm pleased to see it as well. They're like, it's never good when, you know, they recast a character and everyone's like, what's this? I'm just this. That's just from me. That's okay. Because it's not the only one. Vintage Violet says, love for New Johnny. The actor really holds his own. I do agree with that. Let's not forget, too, that Johnny lost his dad and grief can really change a person. Can't wait to see what they do with his character. Just glad Linda can finally confide in someone. Yes, although, is it wise confiding in current Johnny? Wow. We do not know. We shall have to wait and see. Got a good week. Good week. Next week, trying to think what's happening next week. I think it's I think maybe it's to do with Nish next week, and we're going to sort of involve Nish. Take another look at the Nish and Cat storyline. I think is going to be the main focus for next week. So we'll see how that plays out.
God, as if that's a thing.
As if that's a thing. As if. I suspect it may not be for much longer.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. Right. So, if you'd like to get in touch with us with your comments or your thoughts or your theories, or if you'd like to throw us your caption contest ideas, you can do the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Instagram and Twitter at E20 After Dark. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, Albert Square After Dark, and find us on all your favourite podcast sites. You can drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
After Dark. Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Thank you very much for listening. We should be back same time next week. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you next week, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.